Oh, welcome back everybody, and we're here again with another interesting, fascinating, inspirational blog from Muscle, and I'm your host, Tom. So, this week's topic is a big one for me. I really embody this into my training. I've been doing it now for ever since I probably started, going back 14 years, and it's the topic regarding stretching, flexibility and mobility. I find it's absolutely essential, and typically top level athletes, you will see them do it. They do mobility work pre either competing or pre whatever they're training, whether it's going to be in the gym, whether it's going to be sport orientated. It's a massive part. Having a good warm up is essential for helping to get the blood pumping around the body, get the tissues ready to be put under strain and workload, and it's also a massive injury prevention. Just helps to get the heart pumping, gets the muscles warm so that they're elastic, they're ready to fire when you need them to. It's so important, and everyday gym goers, you rarely see them do it, especially in the gyms that I've been in. They walk in and this is the warm up, quick shoulder shrug, we'll get down, so do some bench pressing or shoulder pressing or something along that line, and you just, you see it so regularly with people when they do a lot of pressing moves. They'll get up and they'll be grabbing the shoulder, grimacing. Same for the training in the back, around the back, especially around the scapula. A lot of people get problems around the scapula, and it's, for me, I can honestly tell you that I have progressed so much better and had so fewer injuries through just routinely advocating that I put that bit of time into warming up properly. It really is important to do. The best thing I like to do for warm-ups for mobility is not stretch. I wouldn't advocate stretching before, just because there were studies that I read that implicated that if you did, say, static or isometric stretching, it made the muscle tissue less adaptive to train, and it would lower the performance. Not greatly, but studies showed it did. So for me, I like to put in mobility work. And mobility work is just around to get range of motion through all the muscles, the joints, the ligaments, the tendons, get them ready to fire and be put under stress and workload. One of the best things that I like to use for that is the resistance bands, what I've obviously done a previous blog on. Check them out. They are fantastic. You can set them up, you can do banded pulls, banded rows, you can specifically warm up joints and scapula with banded pulls. You can warm the legs up, you can do some squats, you can do bent over rows. They're just fantastic for small resistance, just to get the blood pumping, get the body ready for work, to be put under stress, and just get you ready to put you in the best kind of position to not only perform at your best during your workout, but also to mitigate the risk of perhaps injury if you're going to be doing heavy lifting or heavy workload or explosive movements. It's just so important, and it takes 10 to 15 minutes. I know people say I haven't got time to do it, but make time. If you get to the gym early if you can, or if you're going to be doing intensive workouts, either limit your rest period or reduce the volume. Put it in. It's important. It really is important, and it's just one of them simple things that a lot of people skip. You see it all the time. They walk in, I ain't got time for that, I ain't got time for this, but it's important, and they wonder why sometimes they're getting injured all the time, or they're feeling tight, or the range of motion's poor. Invest some time into it. You are your own best investment. You need to dedicate time to preparing yourself to train at your best, to get the best, basically. And it's the principle, it's sort of that you get out of training what you put into it, and it's not just training. There's obviously a lot of building blocks to it, but for me, warm-up is essential. Now, on top of that, at the end of my workouts, I will always stretch. I will always make time to stretch and cool down properly. For me, I always feel so much better once I've stretched, once I've cooled down properly, once I've, just helped my body to get back to a state of relaxation, calm, and know that keeping that range of motion helps me perform better, helps me become far stronger, because I know I can put my muscles, my joints under far more load and tension and not have to worry about range of motion problems. For years and years, I'd probably say for 10 years I've been chasing the box split. I finally got it, it's in a video, I'm well happy with that. But it took a lot of work, so much work. Stretching is just so much more than thinking it's just one principle. There's a number of principles in regards to stretching. So one of them is called isometric or static stretching. So most people are familiar with this if they ever did PE at school, or you come across basic PT sessions. A static stretch is basically on the joint, hold it, and you'll hold it for a certain amount of time, and then obviously you'll chop and switch sides. Again, it's the very basic form of stretching, but everyone tends to be familiar with it. It's important to still put in, I still do use isometric stretching. It's just a great way post-workout to relieve tension out your muscles, and just try and help mitigate, again, risk of injury. Because if you've got a great range of motion, typically it will make you stronger. Studies have proven that if you have elastic tissue, and obviously when you stretch, after you've trained, you've obviously you tear your muscle fibres through training, so more tissue can grow through. Stretching just aids in that tearing and lengthening of the muscle fibre. So again, it actually adds to hypertrophy. It's a big thing that you can start putting in. It's 5 to 10 minutes, it's all it takes. But you see a lot of people ignore it. I'm a massive advocate of it. Massive advocate. Tell everybody to do it. So we've covered isometric stretching. There's also active stretching, and this is just basically the idea of it's lengthening your muscle and connective tissue by contracting the muscle, basically. So you can do this through like doing a step out lunge with a rotation on the end of it. Again, this is another form of stretching. It's fantastic, it's brilliant to use. I tend to like using, obviously in the box split video that you've seen, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. I use furniture sliders just to help my feet slide further, and I'll be actively trying to tense, obviously, my inner thighs, around the glutes, quads, and it just helps the body to sort of overcome this natural reaction that it has to, that sort of limiting factor when you think you're feeling tension and pain, and that's just your body's brain response to, say, oh, we're not liking this. But it just helps to overcome it, to help, get a bit further and further down. I'm not talking massive range of motion here, because if you're not very much an advocate of stretching, or you're not very flexible, you have to be very careful. You don't want to push yourself too quick, too far. Like I say, it's took me, I was plateaued at one point in my box split for 6 years at the same spot. Yeah, I know, if you want to do the box split. Some people pick it up a lot quicker than I did. I'm not saying that's for everyone. But for me, I was adamant I wanted it. I was absolutely adamant I wanted it, and I'd set that goal in my head when I first started chasing it. No quit, no failure, I will get this at 100%. And I was not a naturally flexible person, I can honestly tell you that. So it became something like an obsession chasing it. I was so happy to get it, and I'm just going to keep building on it from here on in. It's very important to me. So yeah, active flexibility, again, brilliant to incorporate into training. It just broadens the horizon of people seeing flexibility as, just static or isometric stretching. Again, covering isometric stretching, that can also be partner assisted, or band assisted, or equipment assisted. So that can be in the form of, if you're laying on your back and your partner's, you lift your leg and your partner's pushing your leg further towards your head and your torso, because obviously they're the force actually helping to push forward. That again is another added thing that you can do, partner stretching. If you're in a class especially, or you train with someone, you can use that as another method of trying to slowly push yourself to increase your range of motion. Like I say, it takes time. Never rush it. Never ever rush it. it's very important that you do listen to your body, and especially with sore muscles, you have to, I'd say, if you're going to stretch them lightly. It's better to put more blood into the muscle, so more mobility work. If you have sore muscles or DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, put blood into the muscle with just like a light pump. More blood, more oxygen it gets into the muscle, the quicker it'll repair. Overstretching it can obviously take it longer to repair because you'll be trying to tear the muscle fibre predominantly more. So it will increase your recovery time period. So you have to be careful with it. Just be sensible. Listen to your body. It's important that you listen to it. If it doesn't feel right or something doesn't feel like you're going to be doing it any good, sometimes, listen to it. It knows what it's doing. So yeah, isometric stretching is brilliant because you can use partner assisted, and you can use obviously if you're hanging from a pull-up bar, another form of isometric stretching, just stretching the lats. It's a fantastic actual lat and back stretching, brilliant for the spine as well because it naturally releases tension off the vertebrae if you can dead hang off from a bar. Everyday life, we're compressed by gravity, and it's just nice to take that tension out the spine. So always incorporate that if you can. It's a real benefit to trying to alleviate back problems for people. So another form of stretching is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Nearly messed up. This is basically a less intense form of isometric stretching. You're basically going to be using flexibility, range of motion and muscle strengthening, and it's popular in terms of rehab for injuries. It's not the same as a full-on isometric stretch. It's best used as, like I say, the recovery or injury prevention. It's just another form that's brilliant that you can use. Again, it can help you reduce your aches and pains, promote healthy posture. Again, you can do this partner assisted, or you can do it dynamic, whichever suits you to do. Again, it's a massive topic to cover, so I'm just trying to keep it as short and concise as possible. And then one of the last ones that I'd like to do, well, there's another one after it, is dynamic stretching. So dynamic stretching is basically trying to target the muscle but keep your body still during the isometric. So this is again that principle of when I was achieving the box split, of actively trying to tense my muscles to override my body's natural response to limit, and say when it feels tension or the range of motion feels its end. It just helps the body to trick the brain to relax if you're actively tensing. So it'll just give you that extra few millimeters on what I was needing to push past my plateau. So I was like, such as box splitting with yoga blocks, and as I was tensing, I'd feel my range increase, so I could move the yoga blocks further down the legs. I may do a full video for everyone on the methods I use to help achieve my box split. If it's popular or anyone wants to see it, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to do one. Because for me, it really helped a few of the things that I learned and picked up, and just helped me get that last bit. That last bit was the hardest bit to achieve for me. So achieving it was just amazing. So I'll be very happy to share it with everybody. And then down to the last one, and it's basically like ballistic stretching. So ballistic stretching is essentially like you put a bouncing stretching on, and at school you're told not to do it, but it's not trying to be excessive with it, I think is the way to call it. So again, I'll go back to the topic of me doing the box splits when I was using the furniture sliders. You can use core sliders, but there's a tip on furniture sliders. I'll probably cover that in another video. Again, this just helps to naturally increase range and push past your limit temporarily and come back. It's only under a short duration. It's not like a prolonged effort. You're literally just probably bouncing right at end of range motion, just past where it's comfortable, and then back to where you feel comfortable. Again, it's another beautiful principle you can incorporate. It sort of helps you to see that you can get further without really pushing the boundaries. And it's very, the beautiful thing with flexibility is it's very trackable, and you can know yourself when you've made progress, or on a day when you're feeling tight, you know not to push it too far. You can really see progress with your stretching if you're meticulous with it and you stick to it. And it's just one of them principles for me that I find so many people just, as soon as they've done a workout, they're straight out of the gym, they're gone. And there's so much more to gain from just having that 10 to 15 minutes, investing it in yourself, your recovery, and just, I mean, who doesn't want to have more range of motion? That realistically, there's no cons to it. It is just so much better. I mean, especially for me, I'll go back to another example. When I was doing a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the range of motion was crucial to me. It's absolutely crucial, because people are naturally trying to tear your limbs off or choke you out, and having that more range of motion, even when you got put in bad situations, you had such a greater degree of mitigation of a submission coming on early, and give you a greater chance to sort it out, and additionally tap early, because if you know someone's got something and there's a degree of motion to go and you're not going to get out of it, it's safer for you. Alright, yeah, that doesn't feel right, doesn't feel like it's going to come on, but I can't get out of it. You can tap early and there's nothing to lose from it. No losses, classes a failure if there's a lesson learned and experience gained. So yeah, it's such a massive topic, but I'm so passionate about it, and if I can encourage one or two other people to just start getting into it, just for general overall health as well, because as we get older, you see in our culture, in English culture, retirement's seen as sort of work stops, you sit down in front of the telly and that's your life. I'm not saying that's for everybody, but that seems to be the norm, and you see people in like their 50s, their 60s, and their range of motion and mobility is dreadful, absolutely dreadful, and it's because they've never made this investment of genuinely looking after your health. Your health is your best investment, and when you compare it to Eastern culture, you go to China, and you have a look at them in their outdoor workout parks. People in the 70s and 80s are still swinging around monkey bars. It's mind-blowing. The difference in the culture is mind-blowing. I think it's such a part of their life that you're sort of out of the norm if you don't incorporate it. But like in the UK, it's not really talked about enough, and it's not invested in by the government, which doesn't help. Other countries are probably far more supportive towards it. Our government, unfortunately, doesn't seem to be. They invest in some things, but talking about physical health and mental well-being, they rarely cover exercise as one of them. But yeah, if you ever want to see just the stark difference in aging culture, just have a look at some of the outdoor workout parks in Eastern Europe, Russia, China, and further east. Obviously, China's not in Europe. Neither's Russia. That's how good I am in geography. It's just really, really interesting to see, and it's different to our culture for certain. So yeah, for a prolonged active lifestyle, put it in. There's no one else that can do it for you. It's all you. It's off your own back. I'm gonna keep it going for as long as I can, probably until I'm in the ground. So yeah, hope someone found this useful. Any questions again, let me know below. This will be going on the YouTube channel, it'll be going on the socials, and yeah, stretching, mobility, anyone wants to know anything or wants to see any videos, just let me know, and I'm more than happy to cover them as a topic. But yeah, that's another video done, guys. Have a good one.